on this episode, we're gonna have a little change up since you all know I normally do Tuesday wrestlings that involves the NWA, AEW Dark, and of course NXT. But however, there's been slight problems that NWA have to broadcast their latest episode. But however, I will move forward with the latest New Japan Pro Wrestling. But this time, in this one, for the Summer Struggle event, they had to put a pause on the Super Junior Tag League and had their main event involving the Never Openweight Six-Man Tag Team Championships. We had a 2-hour event by AEW Dark NXT, and also going to review a previous event that happened earlier this month, Zelo Pro Wrestling, with some interesting talent that show up. Some are familiarized, but also going to throw in some news updates. So, let's get ready to start for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So if you guys know now from the very beginning of this episode, there was no NWA Power. Apparently, I don't know what happened. Normally, I watch NWA Power on Fight TV. That's where they normally broadcast their shows. You have to pay like $4.99 a month to watch the episodes. I already purchased it, but however, they were unable to broadcast it. So this is their statement that they put on their social media. Hey folks, we again just want to say we're sorry that the technical difficulties tonight, and we're grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in to NWA Power. We will go ahead and show the episode at 6:05 p.m. tomorrow on Fight TV, and post a show directly after. So basically, 6 p.m. Central Time or Eastern Time, however you guys call it. But however, this is going to be a very interesting thing. They're continuing with the remaining of the Champion Series, so we'll see what happens then on. So let's start with New Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Struggle. Hey everybody, so right now let's do New Japan Pro Wrestling with Summer Struggles 2021. They decided to put a pause on Super Junior Tag League at the moment because they decided to focus for the main event, which was the Never Openweight Six-Man Tag Team Championships between Chaos and LIJ. But right now let's go from the very start of the match. We have Suzuki-gun members Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki taking on Master Wato, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Tomoaki Honma. Now, as you know, this is a very interesting match because we have two junior heavyweights and one heavyweight contender in the same team on the opposite side. But as you know, Minoru Suzuki and Tomoaki Honma always been at each other's throats, and however, it was him who pulled off the Gotch pile driver on Honma, allowing himself to make the pinfall. 1, 2, 3, it is over. Next match, we have Tiger Mask, Robbie Eagles, and Toru Yano taking on Bullet Club members El Phantasmo, Taiji Shimuri, and Chase Owens. Keep in mind, Chase Owens and Yano are also battling for the KOPW provisional trophy. And of course, this is one of those moments where these guys, even Chase and Yano, has been trying to pull off tricks on each other, especially when they come up with the low blows. But however, the match ended in Bullet Club's favor and allowing for Chase Owens to give a beatdown, but also giving a low blow to Yano. But however, he did state it what's going to happen when they face off for the KOPW Provisional Trophy. It's going to be a Texas strap match. Basically, he's from Texas, and he's also the Texas Heavyweight Champion. It's ironic that's what he wants to do. So we'll see what's going to happen then. Will Yano respond to it? Well, we'll see. The next match, we have another Bullet Club uh, team, Ghetto, Dick Togo, and Evil taking on Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo teaming with Togi Makabe. Now, recently we have noticed that things haven't been the same for Roppongi 3K ever since losing the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles to the Bullet Club members. That includes El Fantasma and Taiji Shimuri, but they had an interesting upset following the previous event where they lost to Wado and Taguchi. But this time it didn't go so well. Apparently, it was Yo who tapped out and forced to be tapped out. This was the last thing that's gonna happen. But I'm still trying to figure it out. Is going to be the end of Roppongi 3K? Because I would have liked to see Rocky show up and try to keep them together because he was the one who formed this group, and we'll see what happens where they're gonna go with that. Next match, we got Yujiro Takahashi and Shingo Takagi in a non-title match, and there is no stipulation on this one. Basically, anything was happening. I had never seen Yujiro in this type of match like this before, because we've seen him either in tag teams, but this time he did pretty good. However, it was Shingo who actually pulled off the victory with, of course, the Last Dragon pinning Yujiro and allowing himself to win. But however, it did not end right there. Once again, the King of Darkness, Evil, shows up and attacks him. As you know, Evil has become the next challenger for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll see that one on the Wrestle Grand Slam in Yokohama. Now we get to the main event. This is for the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championships between the challengers Lij, Bushi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito taking on the champions, Chaos members Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto. Now, I failed to mention this. August 9th of 2020 was the year where they finally became the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championships. And of course, the reason is this was also a special day because Yoshihashi has finally won a championship, and his title was strapped to him by none other than the Chaos leader and the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, who's very proud of him. So now they have reached almost a year since becoming the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Champions. So the real question is, can they hold on to that? And I have to say the match was pretty good, especially when it comes to Bushi getting in the face of Ishii. But once again, he was still no good enough for the Stone Pitbull, who is one of the most powerhouse guys within Chaos. And however, it was Ishii that picked up the victory when he pinned Bushi. So this must be an embarrassment for Bushi, but it is what it is, and we'll see what happens then. Okay, so AEW Dark went up to a 2-hour event. Now this is because they're in Daly's place. That's where they were recording many of their matches that they have on Dark. So let's go from start to finish. Opening match, we got Thunder Rosa taking on Zeta Zhang, who I haven't seen for quite some time. She fits perfectly with Thunder Rosa, but however, apparently Thunder Rosa actually put her in a Peruvian necktie, forcing her to tap out. Next up, we got Red Velvet taking on Skylar Moore, who's back after we haven't seen for quite some time. And it was a pretty good match, but Velvet Sky pulled off the sliced bread, or whatever she calls it, and she pinned her with the 1-2-3. We have 2.0 Matt Lee, Jeff Parker, or as we know them as Everrise, taking on Liam Gray and Adrian Alamis. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Is 2.0 were we could have considered them. They would have been a good tag team in WWE when they were known as Evereyes. But I feel like now AEW could help them establish themselves as a legit tag team. But B is how they want to portray themselves, and they did a pretty good job. I'm not gonna deny that. Uh, but yeah, it was them who won the match. In case you're wondering, yes. Next up, we got Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico taking on Bear Country, Bronson and Boulder. I have to say, this was a really good match because you got a bit of the comedic with Serpentico, who was about to be plastered by two bears. But however, there was a moment where Boulder had both uh, Serpentico and Luther on his shoulders and put them down. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty good, impressive match. So it was Bear Country the one, thanks to Bronson, who picked up the pin on Luther. Next up, we got Darby Allin taking on Invictus Cash. I don't know who he is, but this is time we did not see Sting involved in Dark. I don't think he wants to be in. I don't know. But it was a pretty good match. It was more like I would have expected. He is still the same Darby as we know. He's not different from what we see in Dynamite. So, but of course, he ended it with the coffin drop in. No, the Last Supper. The Last Supper was the one move that he used to pick up the 1, 2, 3. It wasn't the coffin drop. Next up, we got Allen Five Angels of the Dark Order taking on the leader of the of the Factory. This was a really good, interesting match because it showed how QT was one of the guys that trained Five. But however, both sides had their seconds. You have Angels, who had 10 and Cabana by his side, while QT had Camarado and Solo involved. But however, both teams got into each other's throats. But it was QT who beat him with the 1, 2, 3. Next up, we got the Bullet Club member, Leo, the younger brother of the Girls of Destiny, taking on Thad Brown. I don't know who he is, but you can guess this match was already over from the moment it happened. Next up, we got Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero, who we haven't seen her. Vicky now going, "Excuse me." So she's taking on Valentina Rossi. Well, you can guess that Valentina did not win this one because you cannot deny the ability of Nyla Rose, what she can do. So she won this match with the Beast Bomb. Next up, we got Daniel Garcia versus Fuego del Sol. This wasn't a very interesting match. Daniel Garcia did some sort of locking or submission type I never seen, forcing Fuego to tap out. Next up, we got Penelope Ford versus Sahara 7. Now, we can say that Penelope Ford is growing and growing to be a strong competitor. We don't know how far is she in the rankings, but she really can impress everybody with her ability as soon as she beats Sahara. Next up, we got the Pinnacles, Sean Spears, and Wardlow taking on Ripper, Zabisco, and Seth Gargans. Now, Ripper Zabisco, you may heard that name before. He is the son of Larry Zabisco, who was once commentator and enforcer commissioner in WCW during their days. I was surprised to hear from that, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But however, Sean Spears and Wardlow put an end to them because they will not allow them to pick up the victory one way or the other. Next up, we got TH2 taking on Marcus Cross and Jay Freddy. You can guess that Angelico was the one who picked up the victory when he put the Llave Navarro onto what's his name on Jay Freddy, and it was already over by the time he tapped out. Next up, we got the Wingmen, Cesar Bononi and JD Drake, along with Peter Avalon, taking on the Lucha Brothers. This match was so incredibly good because I did not expect a whole lot, but it was fun, interesting. I was very close to see Penta break JD Drake's arm, but Cesar Bononi saved the day. but it was one heck of a match. I have to say, I like it. I give it 2 thumbs up on this one. And of course, it was Lucha Brothers that picked up the victory with the pile driver on Drake, I think. Next up, we got Tay Conti taking on Robin Renegade. Renegade unable to beat the capabilities of Tay Conti. As you know, she is a judo expert, kickboxing expert, whatever. But you know, she is one heck of a talent. And you can guess right now that she won her match. Then we got Private Party along with CFO, AHFO taking on Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta. It was also another good match because as you know, Wheeler Yuta has been given more time to be here. I hope AEW considers signing him and he could be part of the Best Friends. And however, it was the Private Party the one thanks to the interference of TH2 and Jora Jarrell. Next up, we got Dark Order, Colt Cabana, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno taking on Joey Sweets, David Ramos, and Jake Manning. I have to say the ending was pretty well because Colt Cabana used the Chicago skyline and it was over 1, 2, 3. He won it for the Dark Order. Next match we have for the main event, we got Dark Order, 10, Reynolds, and Silver taking on Dean Alexander, Arjun Singh, and TIM. Another good example of this match. Dark Order has becoming a stronger faction like we should have been seeing, and it was a pretty good match. This combination of tag teams with the Dark Order was pretty good, so I say I like it. So there's some matches that were really, really that good, and others that are like, I don't know what I think of it, but you get the idea. Alright, so we got NXT. It's back on the USA Network. Thank God. Um, Basically, I keep forgetting for 2 weeks that it was not on the USA Network, and I don't have sci-fi, so I had to use Watch Pro Wrestling to watch it. But now it's back on USA. I'm very happy for that. The for originally this match, the opening match was supposed to be Ember Moon versus Saray, but however, Ember Moon was not medically cleared, so her replacement was Dakota Kai. I have to say the match was pretty well. I have to say well received because you're seeing Dakota Kai, who is determined to end Raquel Gonzalez and finally claim what she felt was rightfully hers, which is the NXT Women's title. And what it was a good match, but however, Raquel Gonzalez did show up, but it was Dakota Kai who won this match. But Raquel came out to take out uh, uh, Dakota Kai, but she did give a strong message that she will not beat her for the title. So we'll see what that will be like because we don't know how far they're going to go with this whole thing. Next up, we continue on with the romance between Index. Yes, I'm talking about Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis. The Garganos were a bit shocked. They don't know what to do. Dexter Lumis showed up with flowers. And then, of course, they had the audacity to track them down. So I'm going to tell you what happened the entire day. In the second scene, Indy Hartwell spotted Candice basically blowing their cover. But the final scene is when they had a cake. There was a scene where parts of Dexter Lumis' face was there, and apparently Indy Hartwell was about to lick it off or whatever, and they blocked the camera. But the one person that can't stand seeing this is Wade Barrett, because we know the one person that would enjoy this little Cinderella story, and that is Beth Phoenix. But fortunately, she wasn't there. I would have liked to hear the commentary from that. Now, as you know what happened last week, Hit Row were embarrassed by Legado, even though the match was won by disqualification, but Legado made a statement. But once again, Hit Row decides to insult Legado by burning a luchador mask to send a little strong message. So we don't know how Legado will take it. but it's going to be interesting. Now, we are expecting in a couple weeks Ilya Dragunov versus Walter Part 2. Dragunov shows up for the first time, and it was pretty good that he was giving a good promotion, how he's determined to dethrone Walter, but however, someone had something to say, and that's none other than the bruiserweight, Pete Dunne, who is demanding a thank you. But however, Ilya Dragunov told him, you couldn't even beat Walter, which was true. But ever since he lost that title, the NXT UK title, he couldn't even win it back. But can Dragunov pull it off? But he did state it out that he wants the match against him, and that was the main event. Now, we have been seeing interesting developments have been going on with Grimes as the butler. Now, basically, we all know what happened last week, but Knight doesn't see it that way. He sees it differently. However, he had to face against Andre Chase, but it wasn't. Basically, you can guess that LA Knight won, but here comes Ted DiBiase to show something to Cameron Grimes that he's a champion, that he deserves another shot of the title. At first, LA Knight was reluctant to do it, but however, he changed the stipulation. If he wins, Grimes will no longer be his butler, but Ted DiBiase will be, and that is something I don't know if we want to see. But of course, Ted DiBiase is a gambling man. He knows what he's gonna do. Now we see the impressive match with Gigi Dolan taking on Amari Miller. It was pretty good. I have to say, it was more worth seeing her, what she can do. Very impressive with the match, but we did not see Mandy Rose anywhere, but JC Jane was there just to watch. Now, we get a final face-to-face confrontation between both Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly in their what they're now calling it the Undisputed Finale. So there'll be a 2 out of 3 pinfall match. They basically called up which stipulation will be in one fall. The first fall will be more of a traditional match. Second fall will be a street fight. The traditionally was called by O'Reilly. He felt that ever since losing to the Great American Bash to Cole, he wants to right the wrong on that one. And then there's a street fight called up by Cole. But however, Cole doesn't think that they're going to get to the third fall. But it was Regal who made the stipulation. It would be a steel cage. And this is going to be one heck of a match to watch. Now, recently, since the arrival of Rich Holland, Thatcher and Ciampa had their sights on him. So, originally Ciampa wanted to step up, but no. Thatcher thought I should go first. So it was more like, okay, you got it. Now, MSK, they know they have Imperium on their tails. Imperium hates MSK because they believe that they are an embarrassment to the sport, and this mat is sacred, that sort of thing. But of course, MSK made fun of them, and they're gladly to challenge them. But however, we haven't heard anything from Imperium, what they have to say. Now, the next match is a NXT Breakout Tournament. We have Odyssey Jones and Trey Baxter. I have to say, it was a good match. I have to say, Trey did an amazing job, but it seems Odyssey Jones was the heavy favorite, and that's what he did. Now, it was Odyssey Jones that won the match, so he is now in the finals. But however, he will pay attention in the final semifinal match between Carmelo Hayes and Duke Hudson. So this is going to be a very interesting match. It will take place next week or so. Now, next week, Regal put out 2 championship matches that will be on the line. First up is the NXT Tag Team titles between Imperium, and MSK taking. And also we got the Cruiserweight title. Kushida putting his title on the line against Diamond Mine, Roderick Strong. Now, the next thing we have is Boa making his in-ring debut after many months that we haven't seen him, or a year. He takes on uh, Drake Maverick. It was a very interesting match, but however, Mei Yin actually gave him the mist, and it was over from the moment he was able to notice what happened. The next match is the main event: Pete Dunne versus Ilya Dragunov. It was a good match, very hard hitting, very exciting. But however, Walter showed up, allowing for Pete Dunne to win the match. But he tried to take out Dragunov in the match, but it did not happen. So we could see Ilya Dragunov one day taking off with the NXT UK title away from Walter, but we'll see when that day comes. Okay, the last review we got is from a promotion out of Wisconsin called Zelo Pro Wrestling. I heard of it. I seen some matches, but I never seen the full show itself. Their latest shows took place on the 6th of August. It's called Ballroom Brawl. Originally, it opened up with the current champion GPA. He was giving his promo, but however, Colt Cabana made his return, who wanted to challenge him for his title, but however, he couldn't make the match happen. But his dear friend, or as we know him, Swoggle, who is the GM of this promotion, made it happen. So I'm like, wow, it was there. The opening match started with CJ Esparza taking on Bryce Benjamin, who was the previous champion. Now, he was still dealing with the emotions since losing the title to GPA, but he did show that he is capable, that he still got it even without the title. But he is having his sights on that once again. So we'll see what happens down the line. Next up is women's match. We got Brooke Valentine versus Sierra. I don't know who they are, but it was a very interesting match. I enjoyed it. It was different than I could have imagined, but it was Brooke Valentine that won. Next match we had tag team match. We got the Blackhearts Battalion, Storm Grayson and Brubaker taking on Jason Conrad and Jacob Dean. Now Jacob Dean attacked Brubaker a month or two ago and practically been waiting to get payback against him for quite some time. But now he did. It was the Blackheart Battalion that won this match. However, they were visited by someone named Johnny Crowley. Don't know who he is, but I heard that many fans like him. He's a fan favorite. But however, he ended up in a match against Nick Colucci. It was another good classic match. I have to say, it was one where it didn't have any storylines or anything to build up, but it was a good match. But it was Crowley that won, and then of course, what's his name? They brought, of course, the beer and drink up, guys. Oh my god, sorry guys, I'm a little sleepy. Now, like I said, Johnny Crowley is taking on Nick Colucci, another fan favorite. Now, this match was very interesting. No story built up. What an incredible match, but I was impressed. Now, I can tell you that who won, it was John Crowley. But if you guys remember Stone Cold, how he ends his matches with beer, and that's what happened. I enjoyed it. So I like to know more about these guys because some of these wrestlers I don't even know. The next match we have is a triple threat match. We got Sky Blue, Heather Reckless versus Blair Onyx. It was a good match. To be honest with you, I was mostly wanted to see Sky Blue, but I was like, wow, it was a good match, but it was Heather Reckless that won, and Sky Blue gave her a hug knowing that she won. Now, I don't know if there's any implications for the Zelo Pro Women's title, which is part of the main event of this match, of this event. Next match, we got it's Danhausen. I'm very famous and I'm very evil. Yeah, he's there taking on Trevor Outlaw and being accompanied by Frank the Clown. Now, it was a good fun match. They even put up Tequila by that song Tequila. They did that one, and then of course it was fun. But however, Frank the Clown got himself involved, and of course later on, Danhausen did get payback against Frank the Clown and what's his name, Trevor Outlaw, even though he won the match. Excuse me. Next up, we got is the Zelo Pro title between Colt Cabana and GPA. I have to say, really good match. I definitely enjoyed it, but however, it was GPA that won the retained the title. So better luck next time, Best Bros. Sorry. So GPA was a very interesting wrestler. Sorry guys, I'm very sleepy. GPA, I don't know much about him. I think I might have mentioned it, seen him before, but I have to say GPA was very impressive. Uh, Colt Cabana, he pulled off every trick he could think of, but however, it did not end it very well. But he put up a good match, but GPA was able to retain it. So we'll see who will be the next challenger for this. Now the main event is for the Zelo Pro Women's Title. We have Chelsea Green taking on Jordan Grace. It was a good match, but it ended in a no disqualification because they were interrupted by Lady Luck, who was the previous title holder because Jordan Grace was the champion, and she hijacked the title, demanding a rematch. Now we don't know when will that happen, but we can guess that sooner or later it's going to happen. I don't know if I'll be able to watch it, but we'll see when we get there. Okay, so welcome to the news updates. First update we got is coming from AEW. Max Caster has been suspended for 2 months without pay. The reason he's being suspended, I don't know if anybody saw AEW Dark, not this previous one, but the week ago, he said something controversial that kind of sparked certain things. So that's pretty much what happened. Now, do we think they're gonna fire him? I don't know, but if I was Tony Khan, I would try to find out exactly what he's going to say when he raps before going to the ring. So I don't know, but we'll see where they're gonna go with it. Next up, we got Ring of Honor. Um, Apparently, one of their pay-per-view events, uh, Death Before Dishonor, is now being moved from Florida to a location that hasn't been specified. Now, the reason of this location they are moving was due to the surge of COVID-19 down in Florida. We all been hearing the news, even though I don't report that, but that's what has been being reported. Now, the location has not been, of course, revealed, but I'm assuming we will see that soon. And finally, this is coming from the National Wrestling Alliance Empower, the all-female promotion show that's coming up, and there's more good news. We have the Hex, consistent of Allison Kay and Marty Bell, who are back with NWA, being part of the women's tag team tournament, which is going to be interesting. And of course, they have the Women's Invitational Cup. We got Bianca Carell, Debbie Malenko, Chelsea Green, and Lady Frost. Now, this is one of those matches you definitely got to pay attention because we don't know exactly who's going to win it. But I have to say, Chelsea Green and Lady Frost is one of those wrestlers I do enjoy watching them. Now, there are 2 title matches they did announce for that. We have the NWA World Women's title between Camille and Layla Hirsch of AEW. Now, the other one is the Impact Knockouts title between Deonna Purrazzo and Melina. So those are pretty much things. Now, if I gave the update to a little differently, I don't know, but there's still. I'm assuming that there's going to be more people to be part of this historic women's pay-per-view with all females involved in this one. So I think I'm going to enjoy this when that day comes. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I want to apologize with all of you because I do these videos late at night, and I get pretty tired when I do everything. So that's pretty much what I have right now with all these reviews. So coming up, we got, of course, um, AEW Dynamite, the NWA Power. I decided also to add DDT Pro Wrestling and Stardom if we got time for that one. So can't wait to review those two promotions. But however, NWA Power and AEW Dynamite are the priority ones I need to review. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time in the next DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.